The night on the ice planet was silent and deadly. Snow fell like billions of white knives from the sky. The wind screamed across the empty land. Cutting like a blade, nothing living walked in such weather. Nothing survived for long. But one figure did, an alien mother, weak and trembling, moved through the storm with 2 newborn babies pressed to her chest. Her clothes were torn, her feet were bleeding, and every breath felt like a final breath. The babies were wrapped in thin cloth, far too thin for the winter storm that could kill an adult in minutes. She stumbled through the snow, leaving a fading trail behind her. Her purple skin had turned pale blue from the cold. Her eyes were full of fear, pain, and exhaustion. But she kept walking, because she had no other choice. Her village had thrown her out. They said her babies were cursed. They said the strange glowing marks on their skin were a bad omen. They said the twins would bring darkness to the village. The elders decided that the mother and her newborns must be cast into the snow before sunrise. She cried and begged, but no one listened. Her own family turned their faces away. Her friends stayed silent. The guards dragged her out of the gate. The babies cried as the cold hit them, and the heavy village door closed behind her forever. Now she walked alone, with death close behind. One of the babies cried softly, a weak, tiny sound carried by the wind. But the other child was silent, too silent. She placed a shaking finger near the baby's lips. Feeling for breath, a faint breath was there. But it was getting weaker. Tears froze on her face as soon as they fell. "Please stay alive, my little ones," she whispered, her voice shaking. "No one will help us now. But I will not let you die." She looked into the white emptiness, knowing no shelter was close. She prayed for someone, anyone, to appear. Even though she knew no one walked these lands at night, the snowstorm grew stronger, pushing her back. Her legs felt heavy, her arms burning from holding the babies. Her vision blurred again and again. Every few steps she almost fell, but she pushed forward. Even when she felt hopeless, suddenly something moved in the distance. At first, she thought her freezing mind was playing tricks on her. A tall shadow appeared through the snow. It looked like a creature walking upright. Its steps were strong and steady. It walked toward her, not away. Her heart raced with fear. Was it a predator, a beast, a stranger who meant harm? She tried to move away, but her legs gave out. She fell into the snow. Still protecting the babies with her body, the shadow came closer. Now she could see a tall figure wearing heavy armor and a glowing visor. Snow slid off the metal suit as he walked. He moved like someone trained, confident, and strong. It was a human. A real human, alone on this frozen alien world. The mother had heard stories about humans. Stories of warriors, explorers, and dangerous travelers. She had never seen one in her life, and she never expected one to appear in the middle of a deadly storm. The human stopped in front of her. For a moment, they both only stared at each other through the storm. The mother shivered so hard she could not speak. The babies were barely moving, their cries fading. The human knelt down slowly. He lifted one baby with careful hands. Shocked by how cold the child felt, he touched the mother's arm and felt ice instead of warmth. She was moments away from freezing to death. He spoke, his voice muffled through the helmet. "You shouldn't be out here," he said softly. "Your babies are freezing. They won't last long." The mother's lips moved, but she could barely speak. "Help them, please," she whispered weakly. Her voice cracked and vanished in the wind. The human looked around, searching for danger. He saw no shelter, no lights, nothing except endless snow. He made a decision in a single heartbeat. He lifted the mother into his arms as if she weighed nothing. He tucked the babies inside his thick jacket, holding them close to his body heat. His suit beeped warnings. The storm was getting worse. But he ignored the danger. He turned and began walking with powerful steps. Each step buried deep into the snow, but he never slowed down. The mother felt warmth for the first time in hours. Her eyes closed, but she forced them open again. She could not let herself fall unconscious. She needed to stay awake for her babies. She looked up at the human carrying her and her children. Her voice was soft but full of fear and hope. "Why? Why are you helping us?" she asked. The human looked down at her. Even through the visor she felt the kindness in his gaze. "No one should die alone in the snow," he said. "And no child deserves this." Through the storm, strange glowing shapes moved far away. Something was watching them, waiting. But the human kept walking. He held the mother tighter, protecting her from the cold. He held the babies close to his chest, sharing his warmth. And he walked into the darkness with one mission: to save 3 lives before dawn arrived. The human pushed through the storm with slow, heavy steps. Snow hit his armor with sharp force. But he kept moving forward. The mother in his arms felt lighter with every minute. Not because she weighed less, but because she was losing strength. Her head rested weakly against his shoulder. Her breathing was thin, soft, almost gone, inside his jacket. The twins were pressed against his warm chest. Their tiny hands twitched from the cold. One baby gave a faint cry. The other remained silent. The human felt a shock of fear. Newborns. This cold could slip away in minutes. His voice came out firm but gentle. "Stay awake," he told the mother. "If you sleep now, you won't wake again." The mother blinked slowly, fighting the darkness closing around her mind. She whispered, I am trying." The human knew she was close to collapsing completely. He needed to reach his shelter, and fast. His crash pod was not far now, hidden behind a ridge of broken ice. He remembered the moment his ship fell from orbit. The explosion, the smoke, the fire. He barely survived that night, but today, that same wreck was the only chance this mother and her babies had to live. He climbed the icy slope, his boots sinking deep with each step. Snow piled up around his legs. The storm roared louder, as if the planet wanted to bury them all. But then, through the wall of white, he saw it, the metal hatch of his broken vessel. Half covered in frost, a small light blinked on the side. Showing the emergency power was still alive, the human hurried, almost running. He reached the hatch and forced it open with one strong pull. Warm air, weak but real, pushed out from inside. He stepped through and sealed the door behind him, shutting out the deadly wind inside the crash pod. Soft yellow lights glowed across the metal walls. It was small, cramped, damaged, but warm enough to save lives. The human gently laid the mother on a padded bench. Her body shivered uncontrollably. Her skin had turned dangerously cold. He knew she had minutes before hypothermia swallowed her completely. He removed his jacket and carefully took out the twins. Their tiny bodies were wrapped in cold cloth, soaked with melting snow. Their glowing birthmarks pulsed faintly, as if fading between life and death. The human turned on the emergency heat coils. The room slowly warmed. He placed the babies near the coils, but not too close. He rubbed their tiny hands to bring circulation back. One baby whimpered softly. The other one lay still like a fragile doll. The mother tried to sit up but failed. Her voice cracked. Are my children alive?" The human nodded gently. "They are very cold, but they're here." He checked the silent baby again. The heartbeat was slow, too slow. He felt urgency burn in his chest. The human removed his gloves and held the silent baby against his bare chest. "Skin-to-skin warmth," he whispered. "Come on, little one. Stay with us." The mother watched with tears in her eyes. She had never seen any being show this much care to her children. Her own people had abandoned them without mercy. The human continued warming the baby. Minutes passed slowly. Then the miracle happened. A weak cry escaped the newborn's lips, small, tiny, but full of hope. The mother covered her mouth with shaking hands. Her tears finally fell freely. "They live. They live," she whispered. The human wrapped the babies in thick thermal blankets from his supply box. He checked their temperatures, relieved to see improvement. Then he turned to the mother, who was still shivering violently. He placed another blanket on her shoulders and offered her a heated drink. She hesitated, unfamiliar with human supplies. But he smiled softly. "It's safe. It will help." She drank slowly, warmth spreading through her weak body. After some time, she finally stopped shaking. Color returned to her face little by little. Her breathing steadied. She looked at the human, her eyes soft but full of questions. "Why? Why did you save us?" she asked. "No one from my village cared. No one even looked back when they pushed us into the snow." The human sat down opposite her. His armor lay beside him, steam rising off the metal from the sudden warmth. He looked at her babies, both now sleeping peacefully. He spoke quietly. "No mother should be left to die with her children, and no child deserves to freeze in the dark." The mother lowered her eyes. Her voice trembled. "They said my twins were cursed. They said the glowing marks mean danger. The elders believed they would bring disaster to the village, so they forced us out." The human frowned. He studied the baby's markings, beautiful lines of soft light. Not dangerous, just different. He touched one marking gently. Amazed at the faint warmth they gave, he said, "These are not curses. They look like something special." Before she could reply, a sudden loud sound echoed outside. A deep rumble, like something massive moving over the snow. The mother froze in fear, her voice dropped to a whisper. "It followed us. It wants the twins." The human stood up fast. He reached for his metal staff. His face changed calm but alert. "What followed you?" he asked. The mother shook. "A snow predator," she said. "A giant one. It sensed the baby's energy." The rumble came again. Closer than before, the metal walls of the crash pod vibrated. The human tightened his grip on his weapon. He looked at the door, ready, he whispered. "Stay with the babies." The lights flickered. The wind outside howled louder, and the shadow of something huge moved past the small window. The danger had arrived, and the human knew the real fight was just beginning. The crash pod shook again as the heavy creature moved outside. The metal walls groaned under the pressure. The mother held her twins close, fear rising inside her like ice. The babies sensed her fear and whimpered softly. Their tiny glowing marks flickered like weak fireflies in the dim light. The human stepped toward the door slowly. His eyes focused, his body tense. He had survived battles before, but never with a mother and two newborns behind him. This time he was not fighting for himself. He was fighting for 3 lives more fragile than anything he had ever protected. Another thud shook the pod. Dust fell from the ceiling. The mother whispered, "It smells their energy. Snow predators hunt newborns with glowing blood." Her voice trembled, full of terror and guilt. "It followed us since the village threw us out." The human looked back at her briefly. His calm voice broke through the fear. "Nothing will take your children," he said firmly. "Not while I am breathing." The mother's eyes widened. She had never heard such certainty. No one from her people ever spoke with that kind of promise, especially not for someone like her. The human picked up a metal pipe from the floor. It was dented, old, heavy, but it was solid enough to hit a beast. He tightened his grip and approached the door. Outside, the predator's growl echoed like thunder, a deep, ancient sound that shook the air. The mother closed her eyes, praying silently for the human's safety. She whispered to her babies, "Stay quiet. Please stay quiet." Suddenly, the creature slammed into the side of the pod. The entire structure tilted. The mother cried out as she held the babies close. The emergency lights turned red, blinking fast. Warning alarms echoed through the room. The human pressed a button near the door. A small window opened, letting him see outside. Snow blew past violently, and then he saw it. A massive beast with thick white fur and glowing blue eyes. Its claws were long and black. Its breath puffed out like clouds of steam. It was hunting, hungry, and unstoppable in the storm. The human's jaw tightened. He whispered to himself. "I've fought worse." He opened the hatch halfway. Cold air slammed inside the pod, stinging his skin. The mother gasped. "What are you doing? You can't fight it alone." He turned and looked at her. "You keep the babies warm," he said calmly. "I will keep you alive." Before she could stop him, he stepped outside into the snow. The storm hit him with full force. Snow whipped across his face. The wind pushed against him like an angry giant. The beast turned toward him, its eyes locked on the human. It roared a terrifying sound that vibrated through the ground. The human raised the metal pipe. He stood tall, unmoving. His silhouette looked like a lone warrior facing a mountain. Inside the pod, the mother clutched her twins. Each second felt like a lifetime. She whispered prayers. Her tears ran silently down her cheeks. She feared losing the only person who had ever helped her. Outside, the beast lunged. Its claws slashed through the air. The human dodged left, snow exploding around him. He swung the pipe hard. Metal slammed into fur and bone. The beast roared in pain and stumbled back, but it recovered quickly. It charged again, jaws snapping. The human rolled aside. The beast bit into the metal doorframe. The entire pod shook violently. The mother screamed. "Please come back inside." But the human was focused. He struck the beast again, aiming for its eye. The pipe hit. The beast howled, stumbling blindly in the snow. But its massive tail whipped out. It slammed into the human's side with crushing force. He fell into the snow, breath knocked out of him. The pipe slipped from his hand. The world blurred around him for a moment. Inside, the mother saw him fall. Her heart stopped. "No," she whispered. She tried to stand, but her legs were weak. She crawled toward the door, still holding her babies close. But something strange happened. The babies' glowing markings brightened suddenly. Their lights flickered like fire rising from a spark. The mother stared at them in surprise and fear. Outside, the beast turned toward the fallen human. It growled and prepared to strike. The mother cried out, "No, please," at that moment. The human forced himself up. His body shaking, breath heavy, he grabbed the pipe again. He shouted to draw the beast's attention. His voice echoed across the ice. "Come on, then. You want to fight." The creature lunged. The human swung with all his strength. The pipe connected with the beast's jaw. A loud crack echoed in the storm. The beast stumbled, dazed. It hesitated, then turned and limped away into the white darkness. The human stood panting. His breath came in painful bursts, but he stayed on his feet. Watching until the beast vanished, he turned toward the pod. The mother watched him with wide eyes. Her tears fell again. But this time they were tears of relief. The human stepped inside slowly. His body covered in bruises and snow. The mother whispered, "You saved us." He looked at the twins. Still glowing faintly, he nodded and said softly, "We're safe for now." But outside, deep in the storm, another distant roar echoed, a reminder. The danger was far from over. The human leaned against the metal wall, breathing heavily. His ribs ached from the beast's tail strike. Cold air still clung to his clothes. But inside the pod, the warmth slowly reached him. The mother stared at him with wide, trembling eyes. Her babies glowed faintly in her arms. Their tiny breaths gentle and steady now. "You are hurt," she whispered. You should rest. The human shook his head slowly. Later, he said. We need to make sure the pod holds. He moved toward the control panel. The lights flickered weakly. Emergency power was low. The storm outside continued to roar against the metal. Every howl sounded like the beast was still out there. Circling, waiting, the mother gently rocked her twins. Her voice soft and broken. You fought it alone, she said. No warrior from my people would have done that for us. The human looked at her for a moment. His expression calm and warm. Anyone would have helped, he said. But she shook her head. No, she whispered. They left us to die. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the soft hum of the heater filled the silence. The babies slept peacefully, unaware of the danger outside. But then the pod shook again. A heavy thud echoed through the metal floor. The mother gasped and held her twins tighter. The human turned sharply toward the door. That thing is back, he said in a low voice. Another thud came, louder. Snow fell from the ceiling vents. The beast scraped its claws across the metal exterior. The sharp sound cut through the air like a knife. The mother's heart pounded. It will not stop, she whispered. It hunts until it eats. The human grabbed a small toolkit near the door. He pulled out metal rods, battery packs, and a welding torch, he said, if it wants to break in. We'll make it harder. He began reinforcing the hatch with quick, strong movements. Sparks flew as he welded the seams tighter. The mother watched him in awe. He moved with purpose, like someone who had built shelters in worse conditions before. The beast slammed into the pod again. The walls vibrated dangerously. Why does it want the twins? The human asked. Not looking away from the weld, the mother swallowed. Our baby's glowing marks. They are rare, she whispered. They have strong energy that predators can sense through the snow. Some beasts can smell it from miles away, the human frowned. So your village threw you out because of these markings, she nodded slowly. They said it was a curse. They said the twins would bring the beasts to the village. Her voice cracked. They punished us for something the babies could not control. The human clenched his jaw. That wasn't your fault, he said firmly. They abandoned you so they could be safe. But that doesn't make it right. Before she could reply, a deep growl echoed outside. This time it sounded closer, stronger. The storm itself seemed to go quiet for a moment, as if the planet was listening to the predator claim its territory. The human checked his supply box again. He found a flare gun, old, but still functional. He loaded a bright red flare into it. He whispered, "If it comes inside, this will blind it." The mother trembled. "Do not go out there again," she begged. "You barely survived the first attack." The human placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "I won't leave the pod," he said, "but if it breaks through, I need to fight." The pod walls creaked again. The beast circled the structure. Its heavy footsteps echoed through the metal like distant drums. The human's muscles tensed. He kept his eyes on the hatch, ready for it to burst open at any moment. Inside the mother's arms, the twins stirred. Their glowing patterns brightened suddenly. Light flickered across their skin like a soft pulse. The mother gasped quietly. This has never happened before." The human turned toward her. "What does it mean?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "I do not know," she whispered. "But the stronger their glow becomes, the more the beast will want them." A low scratch came from above. The beast was climbing the pod. The metal roof bent inward slightly. The human raised the flare gun, his voice steady. "It's trying to find a weak point." The beast's roar shook the entire pod. The mother screamed and shielded her babies. The human braced himself. "Get ready," he whispered. "It's coming through." The roof dented inward sharply. A claw pierced the metal. Cold air rushed inside with a violent hiss. Snow blew in like white smoke. The mother cried out as the babies wailed. The human fired the flare upward. The blinding red light exploded in the beast's face. A roar of agony shook the pod. The beast tore away from the roof. Falling back into the snow outside, the human grabbed a metal plate and forced it over the hole. He welded it as fast as he could, sparks spraying everywhere. The mother watched the glowing hole shrink closed. Hope returned to her eyes, but the beast was not done. It roared again, angrier than ever. The human turned toward the door slowly. His breath steady, his grip strong, he whispered, "This storm is not our enemy. The beast is," he looked at the mother and added, "and I am not letting it have your children." Outside, the beast clawed the snow, preparing for another attack. Its glowing blue eyes burned through the darkness. It was wounded, furious, and ready to strike again. The real battle was about to begin, and the human knew he had only one chance to save all 3 lives. The beast roared outside, louder than before. Its anger shook the ice beneath the pod. The storm winds twisted around the creature, as if even nature feared it. Inside, the human stood in front of the door. Weapon tight in his hand, his breathing was calm, steady, ready. The mother held her twins close, her heart pounding like a drum inside her chest. The pod lights flickered again. The emergency generator was failing. Soon there would be no heat, no light, no protection. The human knew time was running out. He whispered softly, "We cannot stay here." The mother looked up, confused and afraid. "What do you mean?" she whispered. "The beast is outside. The storm is too strong." The human nodded. "That is why we must move now," he said. "If we wait, the beast will break through, and the cold will kill us." He opened a small locker near the floor. Inside were thick thermal blankets and a portable heating pack. He wrapped the twins carefully, keeping their tiny glowing bodies warm. The mother held them tightly, protecting them with her whole being. The beast slammed into the side of the pod again. The metal dented inward. A long crack formed on the wall, letting a burst of freezing air rush inside. The mother cried out. The babies whimpered in fear. The human stepped between them and the crack, shielding them with his body. "We have to reach the old outpost," he said. "It's not far. There are people there. Supplies, real shelter." The mother shook her head. "We will never make it in this storm. The beast will follow." She looked at her children, tears filling her eyes. "I cannot lose them." The human knelt in front of her. His voice was gentle but full of fire. "You won't lose them," he said. "As long as I'm alive, nothing will touch them." A louder roar shook the pod. The beast was growing impatient. It wanted the glowing newborns. It wanted their energy. It wanted to tear open the pod and feed. The human took a deep breath. He strapped on his cracked chest armor. He picked up the metal pipe again. He clipped the flare gun to his belt. He stood tall, strong, unshaken. The mother stared at him. "You are going to fight it again," she whispered. He shook his head. "No," he said. "I'm going to distract it. You will follow me toward the outpost." Fear rushed through her. "No, you will die," she whispered. He smiled softly. "Maybe," he said, "but if I don't try, you and the babies will die for sure." Before she could argue again, the beast slammed into the pod with full force. The wall ripped open, metal screaming under the impact. Snow blasted inside like a white explosion. The mother screamed. The babies cried in terror. The beast roared, its glowing blue eyes burning with hunger. The human moved first. He fired the flare straight into the creature's face. The bright red light exploded. The beast reeled back, blinded and furious. Its claws tore through the snow, trying to find its target. Now, the human shouted, "Run!" The mother held her babies to her chest and followed him out into the storm. The wind hit her instantly. freezing and sharp, her vision blurred, but she kept moving. She trusted the human now more than she trusted her own people. The human ran ahead, shouting. He banged the metal pipe against rocks and ice. Clanging sounds echoed through the storm. He drew the beast's attention away from the mother and the babies. The creature roared and chased him. Its huge body cut through the snow like a monster, born from the storm itself. The mother stumbled forward, her legs weak, but she refused to stop. Not now, not when safety was close. The human led the beast toward a cliff ridge. Snow swirled violently around them. He dodged a massive claw swipe. He rolled across the ice, breathless but alive. He shouted again to keep the beast focused on him. The mother reached the ridge behind him. Through the haze of snow, she saw lights, the outpost, glowing faintly through the storm. Human lights, warm lights, the promise of life. She cried with relief but did not stop running. Behind her, the battle raged. The beast lunged at the human. He swung the pipe, hitting its jaw hard. The beast roared, shaking the air. It knocked him down with its tail. He fell against the ice. The wind knocked out of him. The mother screamed his name, but he pushed himself back up. His legs shook, but he stood. He raised the pipe again. He whispered. Not today, the beast charged. The human dodged at the last second. The creature's weight carried it too far. Its claws scraped the cliff edge. Snow crumbled beneath it with one final swing. The human struck the beast's side. It lost its balance. The ice broke. The creature fell into the deep ravine below. Its roar echoed until it vanished into the dark. Silence followed. Only the storm remained. The mother rushed to the human, tears streaming down her face. You saved us, she whispered. He smiled weakly, barely standing. Let's get to the outpost, he said. Your babies need warmth. They walked together toward the glowing lights. The human supporting her, she supporting him. The twins sleeping peacefully against her chest. Inside the outpost, humans rushed to help them. They wrapped the mother and babies in warm blankets. They treated the human's wounds. They listened to her story with shocked, angry faces. No one could believe her village had abandoned her. The human held one twin gently, smiling. The mother looked at him with eyes full of gratitude and something deeper. You gave us life, she whispered. You gave my children a future. The human shook his head softly. I only did what any human should do, he said. No mother should face the storm alone. The twins' glowing markings shined brighter than ever. A sign of hope, a sign of new beginnings, a sign that their story was far from over. And so, in the warmth of the outpost, on a world of ice and danger, a human and an alien family began a new chapter together. Safe, alive, and united by the night that changed everything.